If you've ever wondered where to relocate to spice up your life with a side of panic and insomnia, this listicle is for you. These are the states where the crime rates are so infamous they deserve their own CSI series. Most Americans have an opinion on what are the worst states when it comes to crime. The problem is, most Americans are wrong, on the order at least. Today we're looking at a survey that was given to registered voters in every state where they simply asked which state has the highest crime rate. We ranked the top 15 and then looked at where the FBI actually ranks these states. Sort of a opinion versus reality video. These states are ranked from, lock your car doors to maybe buy a panic room. I promise, by the end, you'll be shocked. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 15, Colorado, the mile-high criminal state. So most Americans think that Colorado is the 15th worst state when it comes to crime. Most Americans are wrong because it's worse. Sure, Colorado is known for its breathtaking mountain views and legalized recreational activities, but it also excels at property crime. Yeah, they got a problem with break-ins and car thefts. It's a hot trend there, especially in Denver and Aurora. It's almost like the criminals in Colorado see every garage as a free drive-through for your next ride type of place. In Denver, burglary rates are about as high as the Rockies. Thieves apparently enjoy snowboarding just as much as the locals, so keep an eye on your gear. And Aurora, let's not say it's worse, but it sure feels like it. A couple years back, catalytic converter theft was like the big thing around Denver. If you don't know what that is, it's part of your car that's underneath the car and people would go under there with saws, saw it off real quick and leave because there's elements inside there that are very valuable. I think one of the best things I ever saw for that, it was actually here in Portland. Someone went into Target or Walmart or something like that and locals saw this guy pull up, jack up the car a little bit and climb underneath in the parking lot, broad daylight. And they're all, what are you doing? The guy just kept working like he was at his job and had to ignore the public. One of the people standing there walked over to his car, the criminal's car, and just flattened his tires for him. He took his catalytic converter he just stole, got in his car with 2 flat tires, and rolled on down the way. My understanding is he did get arrested. Colorado doesn't have a terrible violent crime situation. It's just overall crime because they've got a lot of burglaries, a lot of car theft, a lot of just theft in general. Most Americans think Colorado is the 15th worst state when it comes to crime. They're actually the 6th worst. One being the best, which in this case is Maine. Number 14, Nevada. Viva Las Victimization. Nevada may be the land of slot machines and regret, but it's also the land of violent crime. Las Vegas leads the pack with a smorgasbord of assaults, robberies, and fraud. What happens in Vegas might involve calling 911. Reno isn't far behind. While it brands itself as the biggest little city, the crime stats make it feel more like the biggest little danger zone. From pickpockets on the strip to full-on carjackings, Nevada keeps it interesting. Right now in Nevada, cybercrime is skyrocketing. So while you're busy playing blackjack, someone might be playing hack into your bank account. Most Americans think that Nevada is the 14th worst state when it comes to crime. They're actually the 10th, according to the FBI. Number 13, Arizona, where the heat isn't just the weather. Arizona is famous for its blazing sun, but it's also cooking up crime rates that will leave you sweating. Phoenix is a hotspot for aggravated assaults, while Tucson serves up a buffet of property crimes. Phoenix, known for its sprawl, means criminals have a lot of space to operate. You're just as likely to get your car stolen as you are to find a decent parking spot here. Meanwhile, Tucson is the Wild West of porch pirates, who seem to think Amazon packages are community property. In recent news, drug-related crimes are a big deal. Cartels love Arizona's proximity to the border. So if you're into the Breaking Bad style drama, you found your match. Most people think Arizona is the 13th worst state when it comes to crime. They're actually the 20th, so they're doing better than most people think. Number 12, Michigan. Michigan's got the Motor City and motor theft. Detroit is infamous for violent crimes, and Flint's water crisis hasn't helped its reputation either. Even though that's not a crime, well, I guess it could be because some people were brought up on charges because of it, but those were political people and there's only a handful of them so. But if you're looking for adrenaline, try walking around the suburbs of Detroit after dark. Downtown is doing great. The suburbs and the neighborhoods around downtown, not so much. Detroit's assault rates are sky high, proving that the city's gritty charm is not just a branding gimmick. Over in Flint, the locals are so tough they practically are crime-proof unless it's identity theft, which is running rampant there. And of course, carjackings are still a big thing throughout Michigan. Now, this is one of the first ones that actually American people got it right. According, they matched up with the FBI. Michigan is considered the 12th most dangerous state, and a lot of that has to do with Flint and Detroit, but the FBI ranks them 12th worst as well when it comes to crime. Number 11, South Carolina. Hospitality with a side of burglary. South Carolina might charm you with its beaches, but its crime rates will send you running inland. Charleston and Columbia lead the state in thefts, assaults, and break-ins, with a bunch of small towns that are trying to keep pace with their big city partners. Charleston's cobblestone streets might be historic, but so is their crime rate. Columbia's got its own issues with violent crime. Don't let that southern drawl fool you. You might be sweet-talked out of your wallet. The American people seem to think South Carolina is the 11th worst in the country, but the FBI says they're ranked number 7. Number 10, Tennessee, the volunteer state for victimhood. Tennessee is home to Nashville's country music and Memphis blues, but both cities love singing the blues about their crime rates. Memphis is practically the crime capital of the South, with violent crimes as common as barbecue joints. Nashville isn't far behind. While aspiring musicians play their hearts out on Broadway, pickpockets work just as hard. The city's property crime would make even Taylor Swift write a breakup song about it. These days, their current headlines are all gang-related violence and drug busts. So if you're planning a trip, maybe pack a little more than cowboy boots. I'm thinking some personal security. Tennessee isn't far from the facts. American people have them ranked number 10, and the FBI has them ranked 8th. Number 9, Missouri. Misery in the Midwest. Missouri's crime rate makes it a Midwest outlier. St. Louis and Kansas City are main culprits, with homicide rates so hard they're practically Olympic level. St. Louis's violent crime rate is an art form, and Kansas City's no slouch, with property crimes and assaults competing for the spotlight. It's like Missouri's criminals are vying for the crime equivalent of a Grammy. The state is currently battling an uptick in gun violence, so maybe think twice before hitting up a late-night barbecue joint in either Kansas City or St. Louis. You never hear anything about the state of Missouri. You only hear about St. Louis and Kansas City, which, yes, are both in Missouri, but you never really hear much about the state itself. It's like those two cities are taking all the spotlight, and not in a good way. Unless you're talking about beer or barbecue. American people think that Missouri is the 9th worst state when it comes to crime, but the FBI says they're actually the 5th worst state. Number 8, Alabama. Roll Tide and roll your windows up. Alabama may love its football, but it also is a fan favorite of violent crime. Birmingham and Montgomery are the state's crime capitals, with aggravated assaults and robberies leading the charge. Birmingham's reputation for crime is about as strong as the barbecue sauce. It's always barbecue sauce. I think because I'm losing weight, all I'm thinking about is barbecue and things like that when I'm writing these scripts. So I apologize in advance. And to be honest, whenever I go to most of these states, I hit up barbecue places. I should start a whole channel related to eating barbecue. I'll probably have to buy new clothes though, because that'll fatten you up in a hurry. Anyway, Montgomery, well, let's just say capital in state capital might as well refer to the capital of break-ins. In recent headlines, you could see that they're struggling with drug-related crimes and gang activity. If you're heading down south, maybe avoid the back roads and stick to the tailgates. At least there, the only thing you'll lose is your voice from cheering on the Tide. Now this one's going to blow you away because here's Alabama ranked at number 8, right? The 8th worst in the nation when it comes to crime. The FBI does not see it that way at all. They have them as the 22nd worst. And I looked into it, and for the most part, most of the crime is happening in Birmingham. Montgomery's no slouch, like I'd said. But after that, the rural areas are fairly safe, and it's just kind of mellow. And of course, you got places like Huntsville where there's, I wouldn't say there's no crime, but compared to the other 2 major cities in Alabama, there's no crime. I found this one weird. Number 7, Georgia, the peach state with a pit of crime. Georgia might offer southern charm and a slower lifestyle, but it's also serving up high crime rates, especially in Atlanta, College Park, and Macon. Atlanta's blend of big city energy and suburban sprawl make it a playground for criminals. In Atlanta, car theft and burglary are basically spectator sports, and the other cities hide a darker side, with property crimes that might make you clutch your pearls and your wallet. The current crime trends include rising cases of human trafficking and cybercrime. So while you're Instagramming those historic pictures and lovely scenery, keep an eye out for something suspicious, or just avoid public Wi-Fi altogether. What's strange about Georgia in general, it used to be a lot worse. I mean, when I was, we're talking 25 years ago, when I was living outside of Columbus, Georgia, the place was terribly dangerous. Now it's not horrible. They used to have all kinds of shady massage places in Columbus. It's right outside of a military base, so I mean, it only makes sense. Now, this one the American people got all wrong. They got the Peach State here at number 7, but with all the FBI stats, they claim it's the 30th worst state when it comes to crime. Number 6, the natural state, unnatural crime. Arkansas's nickname might be the natural state, but there's nothing natural about their crime rates. Little Rock and Pine Bluff are the epicenters, with violent crimes dominating the scene. I mean, and really dominating it. This is a place where you've got a better chance of getting pistol whipped in front of a mini-mart than you do getting full-time work. Little Rock's got a big reputation for small-time criminals with big ambitions. Meanwhile, Pine Bluff is practically a case study in what not to do when it comes to urban planning and crime prevention. Right now, gun violence and drug-related crimes are surging throughout Arkansas. So if you're looking for a thrilling adventure, Arkansas might be the ticket. You get a little nature, maybe see a shooting, see a chalk outline the police just made from a horrible crime. You know they don't do the actual chalk outline? That's just for movies. They actually just put a mark where the guy's head was, and then where his feet were, and then maybe circle where the gun fell, or if there was a gun, or any kind of bullets. No actual body outline thing, which is really disappointing because I've got a whole host of jokes about that. And if I made those jokes, I'd get people like the donut operator just climbing up my butt. They don't really do that. The American people seem to think that Arkansas is ranked 6th in the nation, when in reality, they're ranked 2nd. Yes, 2nd. Number 5, Alaska, the last frontier of crime. Alaska's wilderness might be vast and breathtaking, but its crime rates are equally as expansive. Anchorage and Fairbanks are the state's crime hubs, with violent assaults and theft leading the charge. Now, they also have another thing which you can't say. A lot of people call it SA, which is basically the unauthorized use of another person's body. That is a serious problem in Alaska. If you look at that crime stat alone, it is horrible in Alaska. Give you an example of how bad this is. First of all, the absolute best state for this, you know, the unauthorized use of another human's body. In New Jersey, they're the best state for this. 17.9 out of every 100,000 people. Number 2, as in worst, is Arkansas with 72.3 for every 100,000 residents. Now, these are 2023 numbers. It's the latest ones. No, so it's 72.3 is number 2. Alaska is number 1 with 118.4. They have over 100 more than New Jersey. You know, I'm no math genius, but I think Alaska needs to put a little more effort into stopping this. I was actually talking to a young lady that when I went on an Alaskan cruise, she was one of the locals, and I brought that up to her because we were talking about the police there and everything. And she goes, yeah, it's a big problem. It's not a matter of if that's going to happen to you. It's really when is it going to happen to you? I was like, that is horrible. That's no way to live. But in Anchorage, it seems criminals are as active as the bears. Fairbanks, on the other hand, has a penchant for vehicle theft, probably because walking anywhere is as cold as it is cruel. Domestic violence and SA are alarmingly high, making Alaska a frontier you might want to think twice about exploring without some serious precautions. Now, this one's not far off. Most people think Alaska is number 5 on this list, but the FBI said they're the 4th worst when it comes to crime. Number 4, Louisiana, the Bayou State of Bedlam. Louisiana's spicy food pairs perfectly with the equally spicy crime rate. New Orleans is the state's crown jewel of chaos where muggers, assaults, and property crimes are as common as beads during Mardi Gras. Baton Rouge's violent crime is taking the lead, with gun violence and gang activity topping the charts. The city might have a river running through it, but it's not exactly washing away any of the crime problems. Recently, carjackings have become all the rage in New Orleans. Uber drivers are basically auditioning for the Fast and the Furious. If you're planning to visit, maybe leave your valuables at home. Not in your car, because they'll get in there too and take them. I was in New Orleans 2 years ago this this month. And I saw it was Bourbon Street. It was during festival, not Mardi Gras yet. But I saw the most interesting thing. There must have been something like a prom or a homecoming, but a bunch of high school age kids were dressed really nice and they're walking down Bourbon Street and, nothing was wrong. They were all safe. But this one boy started, getting in this young girl's face, probably his girlfriend. They were having some kind of spat, but he was getting very aggressive. Me being the father of a young lady, I kind of slowed down and turned around and kept an eye on them because I wasn't going to be around. Well, I wasn't going to stand there if he got physical with her. While I'm looking at them, I realized about 5 other guys right around my age were doing the exact same thing. I'm thinking, all those guys have daughters too, and they've seen this type of dude before. In the end, some other big kid that was with them came over and kind of pushed him away, and all things were okay as far as I know. But I thought it was just funny that, when you're a mom, you hear a kid cry, you just jump out of your skin. When you're a dad, you see things like that and you're all, okay, this isn't happening on my watch. The American people think Louisiana is number 4. They're actually the worst. They're number 1. Congratulations, Louisiana, you're number 1. Number 3, New Mexico, land of enchantment and larceny. New Mexico's enchanting desert skies come with a side of staggering crime. Albuquerque is the epicenter in this state, with property crime so high you'd think they've created a nationwide shortage on locks. The city's car theft rate is notable, earning it a spot on the place your vehicle might disappear list. Santa Fe, while slightly less chaotic, still has its fair share of burglaries and assaults. Currently, drug-related crimes and domestic violence are keeping the police busy. So if you're planning a southwestern getaway, maybe invest in a good security system or just don't unpack your car. The main reason New Mexico has such high crimes, and everyone thinks it does, and they pretty much know it does, is the poverty. They have no jobs, their poverty rate is through the roof, and this of course leads to more crime. The American people got this one right because the FBI says New Mexico is ranked 3rd. Now here's where they start losing people. Number 2, Texas. Everything's bigger, including crime rates. Texas' size isn't the only thing that's larger than life. Its crime rate is pretty high too. Houston is horrible. Dallas and San Antonio are helping lead the charge with violent crimes and property theft dominating their stats. In Houston, burglary and assault are like a rite of passage. Dallas isn't far behind with carjackings and robberies, keeping residents on their toes. San Antonio's historic charm doesn't exempt it from its fair share of criminal activity. Now, human trafficking is a really big problem in Texas right now. And it's all over the headlines. So that's, I'm sure, where a lot of people seem to think that Texas is just overrun like Escape from New York or something. And that's a movie from the 1980s. Look it up. So while Texas might pride itself on being welcoming, you might want to just keep one hand on your hat and the other one on your wallet. One of the biggest problems Texas faces, and it's not just the crime itself, is population density. A lot of their big cities have a lot of people living on top of each other. And that's the reason most major cities have crime. More people means more problems. With Houston, Dallas, San Antonio getting more and more crowded, the crime rate's going to go up. The American people seem to think Texas is number 2, but the FBI says they're number 9. All right, before we get to number 1, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. It costs you nothing. Little button down below, you just click on subscribe, maybe hit the thumbs up button and that little bell notification so it sends you a message occasionally when we're about to upload. All right, on to number 1. And number 1. California, the golden state of crime. Yep, that's right. Everyone seems to think California is the worst state when it comes to crime. And it kind of makes sense. They got these big cities, so you just assume that's what's going on. It's not. California might have its sunny beaches and Hollywood glitz, but it's also home to crime rates that could give you whiplash. Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Oakland are the main offenders. But most of the state, other than the big cities, and it's a big state, are relatively low when it comes to crime rates. But that doesn't mean there isn't crime going on. Like in Los Angeles, car break-ins are so common they might as well own their own Yelp review. San Francisco's picturesque streets are marred with rampant theft, and Oakland, let's just say it's a hot spot for everything from robberies to assaults. Currently, like you see all over the news, smash and grab robberies are all the rage. If you're heading to California, you might want to swap your designer bag for a fanny pack and keep it close. Now, like I'd said, a majority of the state is relatively safe, and cities like San Diego have a really low crime rate for a big city. It's just Los Angeles has some horrible places, San Francisco has their problems, and Oakland is the poster boy. The American people seem to think California is #1 when it comes to crime. It's actually ranked 16th. Told you you'd be surprised by the end. Alright, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, be nice to each other.